would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
After watching Braveheart with Mel Gibson and seeing a production of Riverdance, I'm sure that the last thing that you thought of was, well, I bet those folks are Jewish. Well, my next guest has done extensive research and has co-authored a book on that very idea. It's called When Scotland Was Jewish. Welcome to Jewish Voice, the founder of DNA Consulting, Mr. Donald Yates. Hey, Donald. I was fascinated by your book, When Scotland Was Jewish. What brought you to the place of writing about the Jewish genealogy of
Most people
Scotland?
say, when Scotland was Jewish, I didn't know it ever was. But Scotland happens to be the only country in Europe that never persecuted Jews. And there are reasons for that. And I was led to this story, which is an amazing story, by my own genealogy, which was so unusual that I even had to start my own DNA testing company to completely sort it out.
That's why you started a DNA company?
Yes. And I'm Jewish. I'm also Choctaw Cherokee Indian. I was born in Georgia.
What a mixture.
Right. So it was a moral imperative on me and others in my family to figure out who we were. Of course, I guess I should have known all along because my grandmother's name was Palestine.
So talk about the origin, the Jewish origin of Scotland. How did this all happen?
Well, it happened with the conquest of England. William the Conqueror, or as other people unkindly but accurately call him, William the Bastard.
12th century.
In the 11th century, conquered England. You know the date, 1066. And he brought with him a lot of French Jews to run the civil administration of the new state because Jews could read and Jews could count. They had literacy, they had numeracy, which is the equivalent for accounting purposes. For instance, they invented the form of accounting known as the exchequer, and they're still lord of the exchequer today in the British aristocracy. Down through time, that office was held by Jews. And then in 1290, that's an important date, 1290, going back to Braveheart, you mentioned Braveheart, who was the villain in Braveheart? We know who the hero was, William Wallace, but who was the villain? Edward, King Edward.
That's right.
King Edward expelled the Jews from England unless they converted or pretended to convert. Then they became secret Jews or crypto Jews. But many of them went, exactly, many of them just went to Scotland because Scotland was always welcoming toward Jews. You could say that probably 1 out of every 8 Scotsmen in their kilts and attire and with their bagpipes and whiskey is walking around on the streets of Edinburgh and Glasgow and Aberdeen, particularly Aberdeen, with Jewish heritage, and they don't know it.
My own travels. Donald, there's several, the book deals with archaeology. I also saw many of the different clans listed. Clan Campbell, for example. There's lists. It's very meticulous research. One of the things that really, I mean, the thought of this is just mind-boggling. 1066 also is an important date because it's the beginning of the Crusades. So what's the likelihood that some of these Scottish Crusaders were actually Jews?
You know, the Templars accompanied the Crusaders, and they ran the tour operation, you might say, and the banks and the
Did they
trade.
know they were Jews? Had they already been intermarried for a century? Were they converts to Christianity? What do you know about that?
Outwardly, they would have adopted the semblance of Christianity, but they continued to practice Jewish customs, and they held worship services in the home.